In Unmaking War, Remaking Men, I've laid out a plan for a global peacemaking military that would be under the auspices of an international body that would not have all the weaknesses of the United Nations, to be called upon in the face of any crisis that required military intervention to save human lives, to prevent genocide, to stop ethnic cleansing. Today's action by the United Nations authorizing the no-fly zone over Libya is one of the clearest arguments for that global peacemaking military. This military, as I've envisioned it, would require the demilitarization of nation states, such as we have seen in Costa Rica. And then having a peacemaking force in action, trained to protect human life at all costs, to intervene when necessary. What's the alternative? At this stage in history, the alternative is that the United States intervenes. Why the United States? Because it's the most powerful military in the world. And because it is the most powerful military in the world, it is also the most dangerous. 1.3 million lives have been lost in Iraq since the beginning of the U.S. war against that country. American soldiers are not trained to protect civilians. Military training does not ask them to save human lives. Their only job of the U.S. military in combat is for the soldiers to protect each other and to distinguish themselves from the people in the land that they have entered. Now, fortunately, the United Nations has specified that there will be no troops on the ground, that this is not about regime change. Or is it? Today we heard President Obama on television right after the UN Security Council decision, making the same threat to Libya that George W. Bush made to Saddam Hussein in Iraq in 2003. Drawn from the same page book. A threat that says the international community is united behind this effort. But whose effort was it? It was the United States military that led all of the campaigns, that initiated the terrible wars that we have seen there. We're on the brink of that possibility again now, happening in Libya, especially since the war in Afghanistan has become so unpopular that at least 60% of Americans want all American troops home from Afghanistan and Iraq. That, to the U.S. government, is a signal to go elsewhere. The elsewhere is possibly going to be Libya right now, because, of course, it sits on the major oil reserves of the continent of Africa, and one of the largest oil reserves in the world. I would like to believe that a no-fly zone could actually protect civilians in Libya. I have seen no evidence from the U.S. military in Afghanistan or in Iraq that that will be the case. Whether it's drones or manned bombers, the military seems to not be able to distinguish between a wedding party and a group of Taliban soldiers in Afghanistan. They can't distinguish between a school for girls, a hospital, or a military barracks. So they bomb equally. It's what I've called preventative and random killing. It makes it very difficult then to believe that the U.S. forces will stay out of Libya. We'll keep our boots off the ground. We'll keep our airplanes, our bombers, and our drones off of civilian targets. I wish I could be more hopeful about this. Mostly I wish that we, as concerned human beings around the world, who do not want to see the United States taking over yet another country, do not want to see the United States in its ruthless bombing of one more country, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and those side bombings that are going on. That we unite and really call for a kind of action that would not put the United States in the center position. That could possibly lead to a protection for the people of Libya.